Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to look at filtering RDDs. Filtering is actually a very simple operation on RDDs that we can do. As the name suggests, it's basically used to filter out your data. Let's say you have a huge data set and you are interested in processing only part of this data based on some condition. In that case, you can use filter operation to filter out some of the data that you don't need. So what I'm going to do is I don't have any slides for this session. We are directly going to jump to the hands-on. I'm going to use the same example that we used in our last video. So the example, just for new viewers, the example is that we want to compute average marks scored by the students in each subject. Datasets. Let me just go to the data part. So data is basically in this format where you have a roll number, a subject, and the marks. So use case in our previous video was to compute the average marks scored by all the students in each subject. So I have just modified this example a little bit. Let's say there are 4 subjects in my input data set. I am not interested in one of those subjects. I just want to compute average marks scored by students per subject, but I'm not interested in, let's say, Hindi. Okay, so let's look at the code. So here is the code. I am going to quickly explain what we did in the last session. So we used a Spark context object. We created a base RDD out of this file. And then we used an extract key value function and passed it into a map operation, which basically gives you subject and score. Okay, it's picking the fields from index 1 and index 2, which is subject and score, and then it is returning, which means your key value RDD contains subject and score in each row. So this operation was not there last time, right? So what I've done is I have applied a filter operation on top of it. A filter operation is nothing but it takes a function, right, which will return either true or false. If the result is true, right, then the data gets into the RDD. If the result is false, then the data gets dropped, right? So if you closely look at this function that I have supplied, what I'm doing is I am supplying it x, and x in this case is going to be this tuple of subject and score, right? And then I am putting a condition that x dot underscore 1, which is subject, should not be equal to Hindi. As long as subject is not equal to Hindi, this function will return true. If the subject is equal to Hindi, it will return false, which means after this operation, right, after this operation, this key value RDD will contain subject and scores for all the subjects except Hindi, right? Which means you are filtering your data out. Similarly, you can use this filter function to filter out based on other conditions. For example, if you want to filter out rows where score is greater than some value, let me just show you. So let's say, let me write it as a comment. Let's say you want to filter out rows where score is greater than 90. So then what you will do is x dot underscore 2 should be less than 90, which means as long as it is true, the data will get used. As long as it is false, the data will get dropped, right? So this is the way you can apply filter operation. After that, obviously, once you apply filter operation, we are doing map values to convert every value into x comma 1, which means we are using this one to count the number of students. And then we are using reduce by key to get the totals of scores and total of number of students. And then we are using average scores RDD to basically divide the total score by the total number of students. I've already explained these things in my previous video. If you have not watched that video, please go and watch that as well. But as long as filter is concerned, it's a very simple operation. It helps you reduce your processing, right? You can basically avoid unnecessary processing if you don't want certain output to be produced. Let's look at how this runs. So let me compile it. So while it is being compiled, let me just show you what all is there in my data. So if you see, there is subject Hindi, there is subject English, science, and math. There are 4 subjects in my input data. Right? Spark submit. And when I run this job, it will just give me the average marks for 3 subjects, which is math, science, and English, and not for Hindi. Now, if you want to really see, if I remove this filter, let's say we do it without the filter. In this case, what it's going to do is it's going to return me the average for all the 4 subjects. It will just compile and then we'll run it. All right. Here we go. That's it. So we got the average for Hindi, science, math, and English. That's all about filtering. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.